بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرض اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علمك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our studies of the Qur'an. We said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has introduced to us two aspects or two faces or two dimensions of the Qur'an. And without understanding these two, we cannot understand the meaning of the Qur'an coming down. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّا جَعَلْنَاهُ قُرْآنًا عَرَبِيًّا لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. We have made it an Arabic or clear text, readable text or a speech, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ, so that you may understand. Why it is put in the form of words, why it is put in the form of chapters and surahs, so that we can understand. And this also shows that the Quranic revelation involved words, because there are some people, unfortunately even some Muslims, they think revelation was just meanings and it was the Prophet who put them into words. So they say these words are not divine, these words are not, infallible, these words can be something that matched the understanding of people of that time. But we say this is not the way the Quran is talking about revelation. When we say Qur'an, something to be read or recited, when we say kitab, when we say hadith, when we say qawl, it says بِاللِّسَانٍ عَرَبِيًّا مُبِينٍ قُرْآنًا عَرَبِيًّا. So all this show that this is linguistic also. It's not that only some ideas were given to the Prophet and the Prophet chose the conceptual framework and chose the words to present those ideas. No. Allah chose these words. And this is very important. Every word in the Quran is picked up by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the combination is also made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, we'll talk about it later if we get a chance. So, this is one aspect. إِنَّا جَعَلْنَاهُ قُرْآنًا عَرَبِيًّا لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. But وَإِنَّهُ فِي أُمِّ الْكِتَابِ لَدَيْنَا لَعَلِيٌّ حَكِيمٌ. But this Quran is also close to us. لَدَيْنَا. You remember I told you about Ind and Lada and Ladun. Nearest position to God is expressed by near, not with. We don't have anything with, means next to God. But we have lower and near. Nothing higher, nothing equal, but lower and near, or lower and a little bit far, or very far. Yeah, so Quran is fi al-kitab, in the mother of the book. Ladayna is with us, very near. La'aliyun, Quran is high. Hakim, Quran is Hakim. Quran is firm and full of wisdom. Now we want to explain this further. What is Ummul Kitab? Mother of the book. If you read other verses of the Quran, we find that this Ummul Kitab is Lawh Mahfuz. Because the Quran says, Bal huwa Qur'anun Majid fi lawhin mahfuz. Lawh means tablet. Okay? And mahfuz means preserved. What is Lawh Mahfuz? If you want to understand Lawh Mahfuz or Ummul Kitab, you must read books of tafsir about this ayah. يَمْحُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيُثْبِتْ وَعِنْدَهُ أُمُّ الْكِتَابِ. The same Ummul Kitab, it's here. يَمْحُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيُثْبِتْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may wipe out or may register, but He has also near Him Ummul Kitab. So our scholars say that we have some tablets, okay, means some manifestation of Allah's knowledge, some levels of presentation of the facts. These are two types. Some are called Alwah Mahfu Isbat. These are the tablets in which something can be registered and then can be erased. They are changeable. But there is one which is the highest, it's the most comprehensive, and that is not changeable. That is called Lawh Mahfuz. Sometimes a prophet may have seen what is in Lawh Mahfuz and then informs us about it. But then it doesn't happen. Not because he had made mistake. No, he didn't make mistake, but he saw something which is not decisive. He saw something which was conditional. For example, Isa alayhi salam informed about a woman that is going to die in her wedding. But she didn't die. Not that it was a mistake. No, she was supposed to die, but then another thing happened that changed the situation. Or Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was with some of his companions and they saw a man is going out of the city. The Prophet said something like, he's going to die or something like this. And then they saw him is coming back. They were surprised. The Prophet said, open the pack, because he went to collect some wood and log. When they opened, there was a snake. Prophet said, what did you do? He said, I paid sadaqah. This is actually for also teaching us, So someone who was supposed to die because that snake was going to kill him, by sadaqah the situation changed. In the discussion about qaza and qadar we also mentioned this, yeah? So before sadaqah he was supposed to die. After sadaqah his life is extended. So if you look at law of mahfu isbat, those conditional tablets, you may see only the first part, that this person is going to live this much. He's going to be, for example, killed by a snake. But if you can have access to Lawh Mahfuz, then you would see the full picture, which is not going to change. That is the highest, like a record for the data. Like that's the highest, the top data storage. Okay? So, when Qur'an is given to us as a text, we should remember that the reality of the Qur'an, the origin of the Qur'an, was not the text. The reality of it was and is in Lawh Mahfuz. It's manifestation of Allah's knowledge, manifestation of Allah's wisdom, manifestation of Allah's light. بل هو قرآن مجيد في لوح محفوظ, or يمحو الله ما يشاء ويثبت بأنه أم الكتاب, or إنه لدينا لعلي حكيم, or إنه لقرآن كريم في كتاب مكنون لا يمسه إلا المطهرون. That kitab maknoon, that hidden book, is Kitab, is Lawh Mahfuz. So Qur'an itself is in a hidden book. That hidden book is not accessible to us. La yamassuhu illa al-mutahharun. There are two interpretations. One is that La yamassuhu refers to Kitab al-Maknoon, means that hidden book is not touched except by those who are purified. Or it refers to the Qur'an which is in the hidden book. Okay? So the origin of the Qur'an, the other dimension or face of the Qur'an, is something that those who are purified, they can touch it. Like Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Because they are purified. Yeah? إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. So they are mutahhar, therefore لا يمسه إلا المطهرون can include them. But we are not able to touch that hidden book. What we can do is we can start a process, a journey. We have the book. By reading the book, reflecting on the book, understanding the book, implementing the book, then little by little we go higher and higher. So you think that the Qur'an is a book for journey, but indeed in the Qur'an you can have the journey. You grow in the Qur'an. You rise in the Qur'an. You get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Qur'an. So, if you manage to reach the maximum benefit of interacting with the Qur'an, if you manage to absorb the Qur'an, then you would be in high position, very high position. This is why we said some hadith say on the day of judgment when someone is judged to go to heaven, he would be said, Iqra warqa. Read and rise. Or اقرأ واسعد, the same thing. Or عدد درج الجنة عدد آية Quran, the number of the ranks in heaven is equal to the number of the verses of the Quran. What does it mean? It means that based on the percentage of implementing the Quran, of understanding and benefiting from the Quran, based on absorbing the Quran, your position is decided. So, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was so much in line with the Quran that his wife, when was asked, this to describe the Prophet, said, "Kana khuluquhu al-Quran." His traits of character are Quran. So Rasulullah was like embodied Quran. But then when we come to Muslims, they are in different levels. Some Muslims, maybe they are, I don't know where to start. Maybe we start from 50%, 40%, 60%, maybe 30%, 20%, 1%. Maybe some people are quite opposite, even 0%. رُبَّ تَالِ الْقُرْآنِ وَالْقُرْآنِ يَلْعَنُهُ. There are people who recite the Quran, but Quran would be unhappy with them. Okay? Because it's a reality of the Quran. Okay, Quran tells us what to do with your parents. If you don't do it, so you are not close to Quran. Quran said, do this with your children, do this with your neighbors, do this with your friends, do this with even with your enemies. You have to be just. You have to be honest. You have to stand up for justice. How much we are following this? Once I mentioned this point that it's very important to respect the Quran by holding Quran with wuzu, kissing the Quran, reading the Quran, but they all should lead to acting upon the Quran. Suppose every day you kiss the Quran, but then you act in the way that you like. What's the benefit? I go to a doctor and I say I have this illness. He gives me prescription. I kiss his hand. I kiss the prescription. I kiss the medicine. But then I do what I want. Is it going to save me? The doctor says, you don't need to kiss me. I kiss you. Please take this medicine. If we go to a marja, to alim, we kiss his hand, but we do our thing. He says, no, you don't need, you do your wajibat, I kiss your hand. We need to have real respect for the Quran. Once I said, instead of just your lips kissing Quran, let your life kiss the Quran. If someone looks at our life, says this man or this woman's life was according to Quran. So, Quran is a ladder. You can rise. Therefore, we have another concept in the Quran and Hadith about the Quran, and that is the concept of habl. Quran is a habl. Habl means rope. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. There are different interpretations for this, but one interpretation is that this is Quran. Habl, that we have to hold onto it, is Quran. There is a version of Hadith Thaqalain that Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal mentions. Because Hadith al-Thaqalain is maybe said by the Prophet in many different occasions. So many people have narrated this hadith. And sometimes there are slight differences. One version is this version that Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal in his Musnad mentions, that Rasulullah said, I leave among you two precious or weighty things. Kitabullah hablun mamdudun min as-sama'i ila al-ard. It's very beautiful. The book of God and then the household. But when it's about book of God, it says it's a rope which is mamdudun, it's extended from heaven to the earth. This rope is extended from heaven to the earth. This rope is not from a place in dunya to another place in dunya. Sometimes, for example, there is a dangerous, for example, passage in the mountains. We put a rope, we hold onto the rope so that we don't collapse. Yeah? Or we want to climb a mountain, then we have a rope that the first person who's our guide, fixes with, some nails, and we took the rope. But Qur'an is not a rope in dunya. Min as-sama ila al-ard. And what is very important is this rope is extended from heaven to the earth, not dropped from the sky to the earth. Nuzul is not to drop like rain comes down. It's no longer in the sky. Yeah? Or we go, for example, by plane, if we drop something, comes down. But this is like when we go for rescue. If there's a building on fire, and you go by helicopter, and you send down a rope or ladder so that they can take it and rise. What do? If you are not experienced, you send both parts down. Then you say, how this person is going to come up. But if you are experienced, you know that you should fix one side and send the other side down so that this person can climb. Qur'an is a rope which is mamdudun. It's not mulqa. It's not dropped. It is extended from sama ila ard. You hold on to this, you act upon it, and with some efforts, you go higher. When you want to hold on to this Qur'an, you start with a text. Because we don't have anything other than this text. We read, we recite, we practice. But when it reaches a sky, it's no longer text. It's just light, it's just knowledge, it's just wisdom. So, you always would have the text, but in the text, you are growing. In the text, you are learning. In the text, you are enlightening yourself. You are purifying yourself. And then you become more and more, purified, and you go higher. When we are on the earth, we are very heavy. مَا لَكُمْ إِثَّاقَلْتُمْ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ. Why you are so much heavy and attached to the ground? Sometimes, unfortunately, there have been accidents. Some people have so much put in the plane that the plane couldn't take off. A few years ago, one person who had gone actually from Oman to one of the countries, he was killed because the plane was so heavy in one of the, I don't want to mention where, far countries. It couldn't take off. In one country that you all know, it was interesting for me. In the airport, not only they weigh the luggage, they weigh you also. So that they know it. So sometimes we are too much heavy, but physical heaviness. Yeah, it's not a heaviness in the sense of knowledge or light, it's not sakalain in the sense of weighty. This is اثاقلتم إلى الأرض. But then little by little you become lighter and lighter. And when you become light, then you are in high position. So Qur'an is sent down without departing that high position. It's not living there and coming to us. No, Quran is presented to us, is made available to us. Maybe I told you this example, that like a person, a philosopher who has ideas, and these ideas are still in his mind, but he would simplify those ideas and mention to us with some examples. Ideas have not left his mind and come to our mind. Ideas are still there. But if we follow his instructions, little by little, we can resemble him in his understanding. So, we have to always remember that Quran is in the nearest position to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah said to Amirul Mu'mineen, أَوَلَيْسَ كِتَابُ رَبِّي أَفْضَلَ الْأَشْيَاءِ بَعْدَ اللَّهِ. Isn't it that the book of my Lord is the best thing after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Nothing is equal to the Quran. There was a big discussion, very heated debate among some Muslim theologians, whether Quran is hadith or qadim. Is it eternal or is created? And sometimes they took each other to prison. There was big debate over this issue. But Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam kept Shia away from this unnecessary debate. This is very important. Sometimes people, either because they lack wisdom or because they have a plan, they want to involve us into debates and discussions which are not useful. We don't have enough time to waste on every discussion or debate. We have to be focused. In the night of your exam, you just remain focused. And for us, every night is the night of exam. We don't have too much time to waste. Unfortunately, there were many of such debates in the past, and there are going to be debates like this in the future. You have to be careful. So Ahlul Bayt kept Shia away from this, and very beautifully, very briefly, they said, Quran is neither the creator nor created. Imam Ghazali salam said, Qur'an is neither khaliq nor makhluq. It's not khaliq because Allah is khaliq. It's not makhluq because Qur'an is not a creation. So even Rasulullah is a creature. All the prophets, messengers are creatures. But Qur'an is not a creature. Qur'an is the word of God. Qur'an is knowledge of God, is wisdom of God. So you see, there's a different relation that Qur'an has with Allah than anything which is created by Allah. They can try to follow Qur'an. They can try to become a mirror reflecting Qur'an, but they can never become like Qur'an. And then, inshallah, we have lots of discussions, but I would like to end with another connection that we have. We want to be connected to the heaven. We have Qur'an, hablun mamdudun ila sama, min as-sama ila al-ard. It's a rope extended from heaven to the earth. But maybe if you have just one rope, it would be difficult. Maybe you would still drop. You would still not know how to rise. Allah has provided us with a second connection. But this one is from earth to heaven. أين السبب المتصل بين الأرض والسماء. Quran is من السماء إلى الأرض. But Imam is from earth to heaven. So, sabab means connection, link. Muttasil means the one who connects. So, Quran connects Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on heaven to us. Imam Mahdi connects us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, if you have two ropes like this, two connections like this, and you hold onto them, can you go astray? Ma in tamassaktum bihima lan tadillu. If you hold on to both of them, you cannot go wrong. Maybe you tell me, what if I only hold on to one of them? What's the answer? If I hold on to one of them, can I go wrong?
Possibly.
Pardon? Possibly. On the surface, the answer is yes. If you hold on to one of them, you can go wrong. For example, if someone says, I don't want Ahlul Bayt, or I don't want Qur'an. But the reality is, you cannot actually hold on to one of them without holding on the other one. You cannot be a true follower of Imam if you abandon the Qur'an. You cannot be a true follower of Qur'an if you abandon the Imam. So when we say you have to hold on to both of them, it doesn't mean that there is a way to hold on to one of them. Do you understand? So those who think, they think that they have hold on to one. But in reality, it's impossible. Because this is a book and a teacher. You cannot say, I want the book, not the teacher. Because the teacher is not saying anything other than what is in the book. If you don't want the teacher, it means you don't want the book. Or if you want to say, I want the teacher, but not the book. He is just teaching this, he doesn't have anything else. What do you want? You want his face? Or you want his knowledge? You want his teaching? Imam alayhi salam is not telling us anything other than Qur'an. So can someone say, I love Imam, not the Qur'an? No. Can say, I love Qur'an, not the Imam? No. In the time of the Prophet, could someone make a distinction? Say, I love Prophet, but not the Qur'an. Or I love Qur'an, not the Prophet? No. The same is with Imam, because Imam is continuing the same job. Just he doesn't receive revelation. But when it comes to his presentation in his teaching, he is not bringing anything new to the Qur'an. My idea is this. The way I understand, my humble understanding is, we have only one source of guidance. That's the Qur'an. The scripture. For us Muslims, the Qur'an, which is the final, the most complete message of God. Nothing comes next to the Qur'an. Our hadiths are very important, but they don't come next to the Qur'an, they come under the Qur'an. Our hadiths are explanations of the Qur'an. It's not that we have two books, Qur'an and, for example, hadith in collections of hadiths. Hadiths are words of the Prophet, and the Prophet is يُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابِ. Sunnah is like lectures that the Prophet has given in teaching Qur'an. We don't have two sources. We have one source. But you cannot understand the Qur'an without using the explanations of the Prophet or teachers of the Qur'an. So there is no way to make distinction. So Alhamdulillah, we have been given by Allah two ways to connect ourselves to Him. The Qur'an and the Hujjah of Allah. And these two throughout the year are with us. But when it comes to Laylatul Qadr, then something extraordinary happens. Inshallah, we'll talk about it later. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.